Hey everybody, welcome back to Prescription Bourbon. I'm DMC from Louisville, Kentucky. Today I'm starting a blind tasting challenge of 100 proof, non-bottle and bond bourbon whiskeys. So last year I did a bottle and bond bracket challenge where I wound up doing 3 rounds of bottle and bond bourbons. Picked a couple winners out of each round and moved on to a final round to pick an overall winner of the bottle and bond bourbons. All of those were 100 proof bourbons, and I was kind of sad the whole time I was doing the challenge that there were some bourbons that I couldn't put in there because they were not bottle and bond. The big ones that came to mind at the time were your normal Knob Creek, which is 100 proof. This 9 years, age statements back on it, so the Knob Creek 9-year 100 proof, and stuff like Old Forester, 100 proof. So, which is a staple around here. Definitely drink a lot of this, make a lot of drinks with it. So I decided, looking around on my bar and all my bottles, I realized I had quite a few 100 proof bourbons that were not bottle and bond. So I thought, you know what, I can go ahead and put those together and do a little head to head with those. So what I've got today that I'm going to be, putting up against each other is, I've got Four Roses single batch, 100 proof. So this is not a cask strength. They do offer a cask strength version of this, but this is just a normal Four Roses single barrel. So, obviously single barrels are all a little different than each other and all that, but Four Roses seems to be pretty consistent in their standard single barrel offering. Along with that, I've got Smoke Wagon Small Batch, which comes in at 100 proof also. This is last year's clear bottle. It's not a special bottle or anything, but they just were having trouble with the whole supply chain issues of this past year getting their amber glass, so they had to put out some clear glass bottles last year. But this is their Smoke Wagon's standard small batch 100 proof, which this is MGP distillate, so this is out of Lawrenceburg, Indiana, MGP in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. But it's aged and bottled in Las Vegas by Nevada Distilling Company. Along with these two, I'm going to throw in Jim Beam Distiller's Cut. Now, this was a limited release for a few years. You can still find this on the shelf in some stores, but it pretty much has been discontinued. I believe the limited release Old Tub Bottle and Bond has effectively replaced this Distiller's Cut. But, going back all the way to 2018, this was one of my favorite bourbons of the year back in 2018. So it is non-chill filtered. It's 100 proof, Jim Beam, bourbon. So this is, some tasty stuff. Since I've already got a Jim Beam in here, I'm going to be holding off the Knob Creek till the next round. So in this round, I'm going to be throwing in the Old Forester 100. So these are the 4 bottles. So these are the 4 bottles that are going to be going up against each other today. We've got Smoke Wagon, Small Batch, Jim Beam Distiller's Cut, Four Roses Single Barrel, and Old Forester 100. And one of the things I did try to do when I was making these up was I was trying to get at least 1 bottle from every major distiller. Obviously, there's a lot of smaller distillers out there. There's a lot of different MGP distillate out there. But definitely had a Jim Beam on my list. Four Roses, Old Forester. Wild Turkey's not going to fit that profile. They don't have any 100 proof offerings. Things like Barton 1792. I had the very old Barton Bottle and Bond 100 proof in last year's challenge. They dropped the bottle and bond on that, so now it's just very old Barton 100 proof would fit this challenge. But I had the bottle and bond in last year's, and it didn't fare too well, if I remember. So I decided to just leave it off. I don't have a bottle currently, so I really didn't go out and buy any bottles for this challenge. These were all things I had in my bar already. So So in the next round, I will have 4 more bottles, and including the Knob Creek that I just showed you. So what I think I will do, similar to what I did in my bottom challenge last year, I'm gonna rate these, and the top 2 from this round and the top 2 from the next round. I'll go ahead and do a third video and have those 4 go against each other and pick an overall winner. So, but for today, I've got these 4. I've got them poured already here. I got the glasses mixed up. Don't know what order they're in, but I'm going to go ahead and pull these forward, and we'll go through and start nosing and tasting. So we'll call this glass A on your left. Go A, B, C, D. So go through and give a quick nose, starting with glass A. Yeah, it's a pleasant nose. It's pretty light on the nose. It's definitely, there's some fruitiness in there. Some fruitiness and some oak. So nice pleasant nose. Glass B. Yeah, so glass B has more, definitely doesn't have the fruitiness that A had. It has more of some rye spices. Probably a touch of caramel on there also. Glass C. So glass C is probably the lightest of the noses so far. Yeah, a little bit of baked bread, but a little bit of caramel on that guy also. And final glass here, glass D. Very similar to glass C there. A little bit of baked bread. But maybe a hint of fruit on that one also. So I think the most fruit is A. A is a very pleasant nose. All right, I'm going to go through and taste them one time in A through D order. Then I'll give them a break, let them sit for a while, open up some more, come back through and taste them again in reverse order, and come up with an overall winner. So, starting with glass A, I'll go on and taste. Cheers. All right, that had some sweetness up front, on the front of the tongue. Definitely has a lot of rye spice on the back of the tongue. Definitely warming going down too. That was a nice heavy warmth. Not hot, not harsh. The spice lingers. It's definitely at least a medium finish, if not a little longer. The spice is still lingering, but that sweetness, that caramel, whatever that hit fast and didn't last long. So. Nice, pleasant sip there, but definitely some lingering heat, some lingering spice. So, go through and taste B. Cheers. Yeah, B has just as much spice. More so on the edges of the tongue, but it had the warmth going down. Had a little bit of oakiness in there. But it's got some sweetness there also. So finish probably not quite as long as A was. Go through and give B a taste. Cheers. All right, so C has just as much spice as A. So they're all pretty spicy so far. C has just as much spice. Sweetness was a little less. Doesn't have the oakiness, so B had the most oakiness so far. But the spice came a little later, but it was more of a cinnamon spice, pronounced so than the other two. But once again, not quite a full medium on that. On the finish, it did end fairly quickly. So far, I think A has the longest finish. B had the most oak. I'll throw and give D a taste. Cheers. All right, D has the spice also. It's not on the tongue like the other ones. Probably a little bit less pronounced. It, if anything, seemed a little perfumey, potpourri type thing maybe. But the spice, the spice is there. It's lingering. It's kind of on the bottom back of the tongue. So as I'm talking, it's still there, still tingling around. So not so sweet on there. More of a perfumey on that. So yeah, so nothing jumped out at me here as a front runner. Nothing jumped out at me here as dead last either. These were all very similar on the spice levels. They're obviously all the same proof, 100 proof. But I'm definitely going to have a tough time with this. I can tell you that. But I'm going to cover them up, let them sit, cleanse my palate a little bit, come back and taste them again, and let you know which one I prefer today. So. All right, ready to go through and start tasting these again to give my final verdict. But before I do that, I want to remind everybody that you can find me on Instagram at instagram.com/prescriptionbourbon. You can find me on Patreon at patreon.com/prescriptionbourbon. On there, you'll find some extra content, some special release videos, and things like voting polls and such. So check that out if you're interested. If you liked what you're seeing here in this video, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe. Much appreciated. Also, I'd like to talk about price real quick. The price on these bottles varies somewhat. I know the Jim Beam and the Old Forester are probably the cheapest two in this lineup. Once again, this Jim Beam is not necessarily available anymore, not being made anymore, but you might be able to still find it. But I know I can get the Old Forester 100 here in Louisville, Kentucky for around $20. I would expect it to be $25 most places. This Jim Beam Distiller's cut was a couple dollars more than that, more like the $22 to $25 price range when it was available. Smoke Wagon Small Batch is in the $45 to $50 price range. And I believe this Four Roses is probably around that $45 price range also. I can sometimes pick that up around here for closer to $40, but I'm sure that it's up to $50 in many places. So clearly the Old Forester and Jim Beam are in the low 20s, $20, $25, and the Four Roses and the Smoke Wagon are the $45 to $50 price range. So twice as much as these guys. So we'll see. The mash bills on these, the Four Roses is known to have a higher rye mash bill. The Smoke Wagon, coming from MGP, they've got some higher rye mash bills also. I believe Jim Beam's going to have the lowest rye mash bill, but this is non-chill filtered though also. But this guy's just going to be whatever Jim Beam's standard 12 or 13% rye. And Old Forester's a little higher rye. I think it's in the, 15 to 18% rye. So, whereas these guys are more up in the 30% rye. So, all right, go through and taste them in reverse order and give you my final verdict. But I'm starting with Glass D this time. Cheers. Alright, so this one I'm definitely getting some oak on the aroma. A little bit of that baked bread I think I mentioned earlier, but the spice, it comes late. It's not super spicy, and doesn't linger. So I know sometimes these build on each other. So, but from my first pass, coming back to this one, see that's the least amount of spice I had on any sip so far. It has a good amount of sweetness on it, though. Sweetness up front, sweetness lingers for a bit. So, in fact, it's when that sweetness tails off is when the spice hits. So it's a nice evolution of a taste there. You know, starts out sweet and turns spicy. I still get a little bit of that floral fragrance, you know, potpourri type thing. So, which I know a lot of times winds up being Four Roses for me, but we'll see. I'm not gonna think that's what that is necessarily, but you know, the tape will tell. I'm getting more caramel on this one this time. Yeah, so Glass C is definitely spicier than D. It's got some good sweetness. It's got a little vanilla in there, a little deeper sweetness, so more of a caramel or brown sugar or something. But then the spice is there. Not hot, enjoyable. I think I'm going to put it behind D as far as my preference. So go to Class B. Sweet, sweet, sweet. A little oak. Spice comes very late. There was no spice at all in my first sip, actually. But after my second sip, as it was fading away, the spice came. So it's pleasant. Oh, this is gonna be tough. Honestly don't know where to put that. Let's give A a try here. All right, A. A is, I think, the spiciest of them all. Very drying, very oak forward on that. Very drying. It's a pleasant sip. I remember I initially, I think, picked up some fruit on that. I'm not smelling that anymore, but very, very drying. Some spiciness. I'm definitely going to pull that guy back behind B. Question is where does B fit in? Got a whiff of banana on C. I think B is going to be my top pick. Now the question is, I know I had A behind B. Clearly everything's behind B. Where does A and D fit in? More alcohol, ethanol on A. A lot of spice on A. It's nice. I think D has more spice. It doesn't hit right away, but I like that. So I'm going to go B and D are my choices here. I don't necessarily need to rank A and C, but I will. I think I'll put A above C. That's certainly on the nose. But moving on to the next round is going to be B and D, and B is my number one. But let's see what we've got. So find out our results for today. So coming in fourth place and not moving on is the Old Forester. So Old Forester 100. You know, great in cocktails. I use it all the time. I don't sip it neat very often. Probably for there's probably reasons behind that, but very, very nice bourbon. But some of these other ones clearly stand out stronger. So Class A is the Smoke Wagon, which is the MGP distillate. So Smoke Wagon is A, so it does not move on. So the two that move on, B and D, D being the Jim Beam Distiller's Cut, and my winner today, B, is the Four Roses. So very interesting. So why I kept going back to floral potpourri on D. I don't know if I've ever gotten that before on this Jim Beam Distiller's Cut. It was probably just putting things in my head that I shouldn't have been, but spice levels and oakiness and all that came into play. Was not a whole lot of vanilla, was not a whole lot of distinct flavors, vanilla, brown sugar, anything like that. They were all spicy. They were all cinnamon spicy, if anything. I didn't have anything switching back and forth from cinnamon to pepper or anything like that. So I think they were all kind of a cinnamon type spice. But the Class B, the Four Roses, wins out here today. I think it was the overall the best spiciness, the best finish. So, all right, everybody. I hope you liked what you saw here today. If you did, hit that like button. Let me leave some comments down below. Let me know, if you've tried a similar lineup, if you've had these before, which ones you prefer, like or dislike. I'd like to hear from it. I know the Distiller's Cut is probably not available everywhere anymore. So if you've had this in the past or not, let me know if you liked it or not. But yeah, Four Roses single barrel. Yeah, obviously a strong bottle to pick up. And here for $40, this is a absolute buy or absolute. Keep on your bar. No ifs, ands, or buts for $40 around here. So, and it's readily available. That might not be true everywhere, unfortunately, but here in Louisville, Kentucky, Four Roses single barrels are easy to find and I think fairly cheap. So, appreciate you tuning in. Next round, we'll have 4 more contestants. Certainly one of them will be Nom Creek, 9-year, 100 proof. So, but this is the 100 proof non-bottle and bond challenge. Remember, everybody, all bourbon is whiskey, but all whiskey is not bourbon. The best bourbons come from Kentucky. Cheers.